Okay, so looks like I am live. Welcome. This is something I don't do very often, but it's something I do want to try to get more comfortable doing. So, welcome to this live um, YouTube live stream. My name is Emily. I am a registered nurse, a yoga teacher, and a women's health advocate. And I care very deeply about helping women, especially over 50, just feel better, find more balance in their lives and just feel their best in this season of life. If you've checked out my channel before, if you're not new here, and if you are new here, just welcome. It's so great to have you here. I do offer on my YouTube channel different fitness workouts, including home walking, which is something that we'll get into a little bit later. And then also, of course, yoga and health education. So that's a way I help my community. And yeah, I thought today we'll just kind of structure this. I've been getting a lot of questions recently from my community about different healthy lifestyle practices, and then also some questions about just my personal insight on some things. So I thought I would do a nice Q&A. If you're coming on live, I do encourage you to write questions in the chat. I'm happy to answer anything. And of course, if you're watching this later, you can absolutely write any kind of questions in the comments below, and I'll do my best to get to answering all of the questions. So to get started, I thought we'd incorporate a little bit of breath and movement, just something to help us ground and center in this moment. And that is something I highly encourage us all to do at some point in our days. I know it can be kind of busy in our lives. So if we can just take 2-3 minutes to ground and center every once in a while, we can really make a big impact on our well-being. So if you're ready to practice this with me, I would love for you to find yourself in a comfortable seat. I'm going to have my chair right here. You might be practicing on the floor, maybe standing. We're going to press the feet into the ground. Maybe soften your shoulders away from the ears. Find a soft lift in your heart. And if it feels comfortable, even close down the shades of your eyes or just direct your attention internally. So we'll take this moment to just soften where we can. Relax the jaw, the skin of your face. Soften through your shoulders and your neck area. Just bringing awareness to any tension you might be holding, and make the conscious effort to start to let go of these areas of tension. Draw your awareness to your breath, just watching your breath as it comes and goes. No need to change anything, just watching, being patient, being kind. You can open your eyes gently. Let's do a couple of stretches just to relax the spine, the neck area. Let's drop the chin towards the chest. And softly drop one ear towards one shoulder. And chin to chest. And try it the other side. One more time, chin to chest. And then lift your gaze back up. We'll bring the hands to the lap and then try a little seated cat-cow. So extension and flexion of the spine. I'm just going to turn this way so you can kind of see what my spine's doing. So find a tall spine first. Hands to the lap. We'll inhale, open the chest, roll your gaze. Your gaze might look up. And then exhale, drop into a scaredy cat shape. So we're going to arch through the upper back body, drop the chin down. Inhale, roll up for a cow shape. And exhale to soften and fold. Relax through the spine as you drop down. And then just keep that going. You can use the breath as you move here. Just opening your heart and then going inward. And one more full cycle, cat-cow. Nice job. And take your time to finish up. Find your easy seat. Maybe find some shoulder rolls in one direction. And try it in reverse. We'll just go in the opposite direction. Nice job. Give yourself a wiggle. Fingertips up towards your shoulders. Elbows are wide. Find some circles with your elbows. I always encourage my students to move their body in a healthy way every day. Go ahead and reverse those circles other way. And I highly encourage you to do the same. We're here for 3, 2, and 1. Shake out your arms a little bit. And then keep one hand down by your side. We're going to take the other arm to the sky. Inhale, big breath in. Big breath out, fold to the other way. You could look up or down. And release that arm and try it on the other side. So we'll inhale, reach tall. Exhale, fold in the other direction. Again, looking up or down, somewhere in the middle. Then find a little sway side to side, back and forth we go. Just noticing your beautiful spine, your back body. For 3, 2, and 1. We'll send that arm in the sky down, give it a shake, let it go. And then just one more move here. I'm going to bring those fingertips up towards the shoulders again, and then find a little rotation just side to side here. So you might feel that in your upper chest, your upper back body. Ooh, go at your own pace. I always say follow your own star, right? So go at a range of motion that works for you and a pace that works for you. For 3, 2, 1. Shake out your arms and let that go. And I thank you so much for joining me for that little sweet warm up practice. And then let's get into the meat of this live. So, yeah, I'm here to answer any questions. If you are here live, you can absolutely put a comment or a question in the chat. And if you are joining after this recording, feel free to leave me a comment, ask me anything. So I have a list of things that students have recently asked me, and yeah, I think I'll just go through these and we'll see what pops up. So here we are. One of the biggest questions I get all the time is how can I improve my balance? Um, this is so important, especially as we get older. Especially in the second season of life, but in all seasons, we need to work on improving our balance. And this is something that I teach to my yoga students, especially, is ways that we can work on balance. So we really want to strengthen not just the lower body, but also our core. And we work on that with one-legged standing poses, oftentimes, and finding some strength in that lower body. One thing I do want to mention is, falls. That's something maybe we'll talk about a little bit later, but falls can really happen to anybody at any season. So, for example, I experienced a fall whenever I was in my early 30s. I actually fell down an entire flight of stairs, and not to get too in depth on what happened, but I was at my house. We had very steep stairs at our house, and it was like, 3 o'clock in the morning. The bathroom was at the top of the stairs, and I just kind of took a wrong turn and literally tumbled from the top all the way down to the bottom. And now looking back and thinking about it, it just all happened in slow motion. It was just, I tried to catch myself over and over, but ended up falling. My head went through like the drywall at the bottom of the steps. I had a really bad concussion. I woke up and literally was like a broken pile of bones, right? So I felt like Humpty Dumpty. I ended up breaking my back in 3 different places. I broke this arm in several places. And then the biggest thing was I like completely shattered my right hip. And that really changed my entire life. And I ended up calling for my husband. I went to the ER that I actually worked in. At the time I was working as a ER trauma nurse at a very busy ER. So we ended up in the ER at like 4 a.m., maybe 5 a.m. And I ended up having a very extensive surgery and went through rehab and was unable to bear weight for 3 months. I literally had to relearn how to walk and gain more muscle. And that was life changing. That changed my entire world. And I just want to say, if you've experienced a fracture, a hip fracture or a spinal fracture or a fracture in your lower body or your upper body, please know that you are not alone. And if you are dealing with a hard time, you don't have to be alone in that either. I truly believe you can set your mind to do anything you want to do. And if you want to get well, stronger, and back to yourself, you can absolutely do that. And if it's something that you are actively working on, that's something that I would be very happy to work with you on a deeper level. So having said all that, I just want to say, balance and reducing the risk of our falls is essential in all seasons of life. So, Yeah, so a yoga practice comes in with that. Also, a fitness practice. Anytime you can stand on one leg for a little bit longer is a really great way to start, at least. But strengthening the lower body is really where we want to put a lot of our eggs in the basket. So, strengthening the lower body and working on our posture is another part. So, if you think about it, if you're hunched over, and you're walking like this and then looking at the ground at the same time, you have a tendency to want to go fall in the direction that you're looking. So I do highly encourage students or folks that are worried about their balance to stay upright, maintain a tall spine, but also look out maybe 6 to 12 feet in front of you so that you're not constantly looking at the ground. When you look down, you have a tendency to go down. So that's just another helpful tip to reduce falls. Somebody asked me why do I do walk at home workouts? I love to talk about this. I love walk at home. So this is something that my mom and I started whenever I was in high school. So we're talking maybe about 20 years ago. It was just a way for us to stay active during the winter, and we just both of us just fell in love with it. So we just kept going. We had, a DVD, one DVD that we just did almost every single day. And that got boring really fast, but we just stuck with it. But yeah, this for walking, whenever we walk, we're usually in a stationary line. So we're only working certain muscle groups, which is wonderful. I highly recommend if you walk frequently, I highly recommend that you continue. But home walking, it kind of gets into different muscle groups. So we're doing the side to side, we're doing knee lifts and kicks, and of course the walking itself. Different exercises, including jumping jacks and all kinds of stuff. So it's just a really fun way to stay active, and it's great low impact activity as well. So it's good for joints that are achy, and it helps lubricate your joints and strengthen them. So low impact, great for everyone, works on balance, and I can't say enough good things about home walking. Many benefits. It works your heart muscle, which is the most important muscle in your body. So we want to keep that strong and healthy with that aerobic activity. So anytime we got our heart rate up, our breath rate up, we're working the heart muscle and the rest of the body as well. So great question. What's another question here? So you'll see I actually wrote out a little list here. So if you see me looking down, that's what I'm looking at here. How long or how frequent should I work out? That is a fantastic question. So I would say if you're brand new to fitness, to working out, probably the most important part is not the length of the time or how often, but just staying consistent. So setting a goal, right? And your goal could be something simple like, okay, this week I'm going to walk 15 minutes 3 days this week. And that is a nice measurable goal that you can actually implement. So, starting small and building that consistency week after week, month after month, and then maybe adding a little bit more each time. So, say that is your goal. Okay, 3 days this week, I'm going to walk 15 minutes. The following week, maybe you do the same. The week after that, maybe you add another 5 minutes. So, a total of a 20-minute walk or workout of any sort. Each week. So you just kind of build consistency over time. So, yeah, we're all different. We're all made differently. We're all at different stages in our wellness journey. So I would say, just finding some consistent time and sticking with a plan is going to be essential for your growth. So depending on where you want to be, I really think there are some superhumans out there. There are marathoners in their 80s, 90s, even centurions. I hope I'm saying that right. That are, that might have started running in their 70s. I read about these folks all the time, and I just am blown away with their just how strong-minded, strong-willed, they set their heart to something and they make it happen. So I believe that should be all of our goals, right? If you have a goal, a big goal, or a really small goal. You start somewhere. You got to start somewhere, baby steps to make that biggest goal. So for me, I am an avid runner. I've been running for a long time, probably 20 years. And I love running half marathons. I've trained for my share of full marathons, but dang it, every single time I get hurt or injured in some way. So half marathons, the 13 miles is my sweet spot. And, when I run those races, I see, oh my gosh, some really incredible powerhouse people that are, in their older ages, 60s, 70s, 80s, and beyond. So yeah, find something you enjoy and stick with it. What else do people have to say? Who inspires you the most? That I love this question so much. I have so many people that inspire me, but I would like to just brag a little bit about my grandma. She is just an amazing human. She is 86 years young, and she comes to yoga with me 3, sometimes 4 times a week. So I have the great privilege and honor to teach yoga and other fitness classes within my community. And I primarily teach chair yoga, which is pretty gentle, and then beginner's yoga. So those are the 2 specialties that I have. And my grandma comes to all of my chair yoga classes each week. And I'll tell you, when we first started, she and then most of my other students had trouble standing on one foot. We do this traditional yoga pose called tree pose, where we're standing on one foot and then the other foot's kind of makes like a little triangle. I'll show you what it looks like. So you'd be standing on one foot and then the other foot, we'd open up that hip and then you could like kickstand it. And then really the challenge is, you could have a chair here or you could like float your fingers off the chair and find some balance. Well, when we first started, that was very, very difficult. That was a big challenge. So that was a hurdle we all just worked together to build that strength in that standing leg. And I'll tell you, nowadays I look at grandma and we're in tree pose and she's just got the most, elegant tree, 86 years old, just powerful, strong. And she gives me so much encouragement because I always say, when I grow up, I want to be just like her. She's still out. Like, for example, the other day I met up with her and she was weed eating her yard. Yeah, she's just got just this lovely, no stopping her attitude, which is, I think, the way we should all be. So, why? Let's see here. Why do you teach chair yoga and low impact fitness workouts? I love this question too. So this kind of goes back to what I kind of mentioned at the beginning of this recording whenever I was talking about my accident and my journey to wellness, right? So if you'll recall, I fell down the flight of stairs and after surgery, I had to go to a nursing home for about a week, 2 weeks. And during that time, I was actually in my yoga teacher training. So I had 9 months of training to become a yoga teacher. And I was about 6 months in at that point. And I learned that by practicing yoga, not just the physical practice, but also kind of like tapping into the breath and the meditation part, I could improve my pain management. So I had been on some pretty strong narcotics and I was hallucinating terribly. Well, I laugh now, but at the time it was really scary. So within 3 days of my surgery, I took myself off the pain medicines so that I wouldn't hallucinate anymore. So that left me with a kind of a conundrum, right? I could take Tylenol, but no longer taking the harder stuff. So how was I going to deal with this pain? And I found if I could tap into, the higher levels of my brain, right, through meditation and the breath work, I could control my pain, which is really incredible. And if you have interest in that, I highly recommend you could reach out to me. You could leave me a comment. I'd love to talk to you a little bit more about that, or just look it up and, learn a bit more about how yoga can help with pain management. But I found whenever I focused on like the specific area of pain where I was having, and then I breathed, noticed my breath, and really tapped into the breath practice, I could control my pain better, which was really profound, a really big gift. And I thought, oh my gosh, I need to teach other people this. I need to share this with the world. And on that note, I was also practicing yoga every day. And yoga looked different for me at the time. I was used to a hatha or a power yoga or a hot yoga class. But all of a sudden, I found myself in a bed, 16 hours of the day, or in a wheelchair and not able to stand or walk or do any of those things. So how was I going to practice yoga? And I figured out how. You can still do lots and lots of yoga if you can't stand, or if you're bedbound or chair bound. That was a lot of the breath, the meditation, and then physical activity as well. There was a point in my recovery where I could not lift my right leg. Again, I laugh at this now, but at the time it was not funny. So I was in a I was at the nursing home, right? And it's just me and a group of other people. We were all in our wheelchairs. Some of the people I'd say were 70s and 80s and above. And I was there, 33. And, part of this there was a physical therapist here guiding us in a group session. And, we were moving our upper body, our lower body. And then there was a point where she asked us to lift our knees. We're lifting our knees like this. Well, I had this profound moment where I was like, oh my God, I did not realize I cannot lift my right leg. And here, the physical therapist kind of explained later, whenever I had the surgery, they actually had to sever or cut a nerve so that I was literally incapable of lifting my leg. But at that moment, I was so frustrated because I saw these other people and they're like, yeah, we can, what, why isn't this girl doing this? So that was a real eye opener. The whole experience was, but it made me a better nurse and a better yoga teacher and a better just person in general. I think to go through something that wild at that age. So I'm extremely, extremely grateful for, you know, looking back now, maybe having this experience, going through this recovery process, and then getting out on the other end unscathed. I feel stronger. I feel fitter. I am happier than I've ever been. And, it took this big life change to make a big, big impact in how I am and how I react to the world. So, if you're in it, if you've had a fall, if you're bedbound or having, a hard time in your life, I do want to say, a gratitude practice and a physical practice can make all the difference. And I'm here to support you as well. So if you ever need just a little pick me up or want to chat, please reach out. Just leave me a comment. You can absolutely check out my website, emilydaugherty.com, and you can kind of talk to me a little bit more. I'd love to help you if I can. Another question somebody asked is, how long have you been a nurse? Thank you for asking this. Actually, today kicks off Nurses Week. Today, if you're watching live or the recording, it is May 5th, 2025. And to all the nurses out there, happy Nurses Week to you. I give you major, major props. Nursing is not for the faint of heart, and it's nothing like you see on TV. I've been a nurse for 20 years now. I got into healthcare 20 years ago. I've been a nurse for 15 years. So I want to clarify that. Straight out of high school, I went, and 2 weeks I got bored. I graduated. I was like, oh God, what am I going to do with my life? 2 weeks into the summer, I'm like, okay, I got to get out of my parents' house. What am I going to do? So I went to a local nursing home. I became a CNA, so a certified nursing assistant, and I absolutely fell in love with healthcare. I was 18, young, bubbly, and I thought, oh my God, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I got to meet some incredible patients. We called them residents. And I got to, um, help the nurses in that facility, and I helped, the residents, and they taught me so, so much. So I just loved that experience, and something clicked in my brain, and I was like, I want to become a nurse. So there's a lot of nurses in my family, including my mom, two of my aunts, and my grandma, and they all inspired me in different ways to pursue nursing. And I've had just an incredible career. Um, Currently, I'm not working as a nurse, and that might change someday. But right now, I am focusing on my own wellness business that includes fitness, yoga, and health education. So, and helping folks here online has been a great passion of mine. Um, my most recent job, I was a trauma nurse in a very busy level 1 trauma center, so the biggest in our state. And I did that for about 7 years. I absolutely loved every moment of it. Um, you walked in the door and never had a clue what you were going to get into. I've delivered babies. I've not to get too into it, but I've seen a lot of stuff. And if you watch TV, it has, you know, think of that, only bump it up to 100. So if you see television shows like that, Life in the ER, that sort of stuff, just times that by at least 10. So, yeah, I've really experienced a lot, and worked hand in hand with some of the best doctors and nurses that I could ever possibly work with. And it's been a wonderful career. I've loved every minute of it. And something else that I've loved is getting to know my patients. It calls me to mind of some of the most incredible people I've met. And not to get in too deep into it, but nursing gives you a side of like society that maybe you wouldn't see otherwise. So I've seen people at their very best and at their very worst. So to be a part of somebody's, first breath or last breath can be just a very emotional, profound experience. And then to do that day in and day out is, it really changed me in a good way. So yeah, thanks to whoever asked how long I've been a nurse. I hope that answered your question. Let's see, what other questions do we have? Okay, yeah. So a student of mine asked me the other day, after my knees hurt all the time, but after yoga, my knees stop hurting for at least 2 to 3 days, especially when she walked up the stairs. Um, and I guess the question will just say, she asked, why don't my knees hurt after yoga? And that's a great question. I always say this: motion is lotion. And that's a true fact. So think about this. In our joints, we have what they call synovial joint fluid. So it's this lubricant, or think of it as like the Tin Man in the oil, right? So we have this synovial joint fluid that flows through our body. And the more we can move our joints, the more lubricated the joints become. So to answer her question, yeah, she had trouble with her knees. And, we do standing and seated poses in our yoga practice, and just the more she can move her knees, the better for her. So yeah, she just lubricated her joints a little bit better. And that's why I always say, if you can move your body in a healthy and joyful way every single day, you are 10 times ahead of a lot of other people. That's really the key, though. How long to do that? Sometimes 5 minutes of just a gentle seated practice, like we started at the beginning of this live stream. Just a little bit of that, and a gratitude practice can be all you need for the day. Or you could go out and take a 60-minute yoga class, or aerobic cardio class, or swimming, or something like that. So, my practices look different every day. Like, for example, today I kind of was short on time, so I did a quick 3-minute breathing practice, meditation practice, and that was my yoga for the day. So and then tomorrow I might take a 60-minute yoga practice with one of my colleagues around this area. So You just make it work for you. And it's not the other way around. Find ways to incorporate movement, mindfulness in your daily life. And that's how the best way to stick with it and stay consistent. So I do see some people are in here. If you have any questions for me, this is just a live Q&A. I feel like I'm doing a lot of talking. If you want to talk too, go ahead and send me a little question or a comment, and I'd love to hear from you. All right. So yeah, back to my list of questions here. I think I got like 10 of them. We'll see how many we can get through here. How do I reduce the risk of falls? Okay, so that's a question I do get quite a bit, and that's a big, big question, especially in the community that I help. It's women over 50. How do we reduce the risk of falls? It's all about improving our balance and our posture and strengthening the lower body. So, how do we do this? We can do this through yoga. And then also any activity that helps get your heart rate up, that maybe offsets your coordination a little bit. And this could be walking. I love home walking, hiking, biking might be a good one. And yeah, biking would be great. And then also swimming, water aerobics. Yeah, anything that kind of challenges your balance and in a healthy way. And then, of course, if you're supposed to use an assistive device like a cane, a walker, a wheelchair, any of those things, please, please use it. If your doctor tells you to do something, it's probably a good idea to follow with them. I know just in my life, I've met some, even my grandparents who were told, you need to use a cane. And they said, no, I'm not going to do it. Their ego kind of got in the way. And then, of course, that puts you at risk for falls. Another thing, just kind of like talking around the house, you want to remove rugs that are slippery. So if you can get like a back on your rug, you definitely don't want to trip on anything around your house. So yeah, there's a lot of like safety things that you could do around your house. But I would say, it starts with you. Everything starts here. So strengthen your lower body, improve your posture, and work on developing those muscles. Sorry, just looking at my list here. It says, what's Charlie up to? So Charlie, let's see. You can see him right here. He's taking a little nap. He and I went for a little walk today, and now he is resting comfortably in his bed. Charlie is our rescue. We've had him close to 12 years, and I think he's maybe about 15 years old. He's just the best doggy. He is a lab and a Rottweiler mix and pit bull, we think, and he just has been so good. we'll probably always get rescue dogs, just knowing how grateful he is as our little buddy. So yeah, he's up to taking a nap. That's pretty much what he does anymore. So he eats and naps just like his parents. Let's see here. Yeah, I kind of got through my questions. Please, if you have a burning question, leave me one in the comments here. Since I still have you, if you're still here and have interest, I would love to share with you something exciting that I have going on. So right now, I am officially, after like working on this for 2 years, this has been my baby, and I'm ready to like let it out into the world. I have officially launched my membership. It's called the Empower 50 Plus method, and it's a 3-tiered membership that helps focus on different areas of the body, especially for women over 50. So it's a science-backed approach to fitness, nutrition, general wellness, and much, much more. And it's all about just helping us improve how we feel now and also helping us in the future. So I love this idea of primary care. So you might have heard this in the healthcare setting. So you have primary care, secondary care, tertiary care. Primary care is when we actually take care of ourselves before we get ill, right? So we're talking good nutrition, moving our body healthy, good mindset. And then secondary care would be you go to the doctor and you say, I've been having blood pressure issues or I've been having this chronic pain. That would be something that the doctor treats. So, and then tertiary care is that higher level where it kind of little bit higher than secondary care. So I love the saying, if you don't make time for your wellness, you'll be forced to make time for your illness. And when we switch into this mindset of like your health is your wealth, that really changes things. That puts it into perspective. We want to care for ourselves now before we start feeling bad, right? So we want to stay active, healthy, and strong, especially in all seasons of life, but especially in our when we are in the second season of life, right? So, yeah, so I'm working on this membership. If you are interested, I'll definitely leave a link in the comments to sign up and to go through the tiers. So, the first tier is just pretty hands off. It includes a weekly walk at home class, which is so much fun. It's about 30 minutes long. We incorporate home walking plus weights and some general stretches. And then that first tier will also include weekly pre recorded yoga and strength training practices. And then the second tier gets a little bit more hands on. So that is our balanced tier. I want to get that right. So the first tier is grounded, the second tier is balanced. And with this, we're going to incorporate everything in tier one plus group health coaching. So we're going to, each month, we're going to pick a monthly theme and focus on that area. So different themes would include bone health, cardiac health, nutrition, physical well-being, mental stress and emotions, healthy sleep hygienes, and so much more. So areas that my community have interest in, and all of this kind of evolves over time. So I'll make changes as we go along. And then the third tier is one-to-one health coaching, and I offer private one-to-one sessions where we can really dive in and get deeper understanding of how your body works and what needs to be done to help you feel better. So those are the three tiers. Of course, if you have questions about the Empower 50 Plus method, please leave me a comment. I'd love to chat a little bit more about that. Yeah, and that's something I've been just brainstorming and dreaming it up for so long, for a couple years now, and I finally have launched this out into the world. And right now, I am offering a very big discount for founding members. If you're watching this at the time of the recording, right now I have an offer for the founding members, $25 per month. You can lock in at that price and it will never increase. And then the deadline to sign up for that is Thursday, May 8th, 2025. And then, yeah, and then after that, the price is going to increase significantly. So, and then tier 1 and 3 will stay the same. So tier 1 right now is $15 a month. Yeah. So I do have quite a few students already signed up, and I'm excited to get started. If you're on this live call and you are already in the group, just so you know, Friday, May 9th, we are going to have our official kickoff call, and that's going to be about 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that's it. Yeah, guys. So thank you all for who's here. Thank you for being here and sticking around. It's great to have you. Of course, if you ever need anything, please know that I would love to help you. I love guiding folks through their wellness, their health journey, and creating a positive impact in this world. And I do think whenever you can make positive changes within, that transpires to all the important work you do outside, right? So when you take care of your family, your friends, your community, your environment, you nourish yourself, you can nourish the rest of the world. So create positive change, and I'm here to help you with that, help you facilitate that positive change. So please let me know if you're interested in the membership, and I hope to chat again with you very soon. Thanks so much. Bye-bye, guys.